Hi there, it's Brittany Chavers and I'm back with a new video. Today we're going to be using the Save to Date collection by Jesse James Beads. So when I used to sell on Etsy, I did a lot of bridal jewelry and I was probably killed for this for this collection, so I'm so excited to use it. And I think I'm going to do a throwback necklace in the style that I used to do, which was I used to do a lot of asymmetrical stuff, mostly for bridesmaids, but I did make a few for brides. I'm going to absolutely use both of these today. We have Crystal Shine and Special Day. So we have some pearls, lots of bling with the crystals. And I'm going to be using this Something New pendant. So let me open that and show you. I might even get some chain reaction in the mix today, but we'll see where it goes. But look at this. Look how sparkly that is. So I love the drop. The drop leads me to believe that we're going to be using it in the center, but if I want to alter it, which I do a lot, I could cut off the loop and then we can use it on the side for an asymmetrical necklace. So we'll see where today takes us. I'm going to open these up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've also opened up this Diamonds and Pearls mix, which is this one over here, and here comes the sparkle mix over here. They're so sparkly. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove the jump ring holding our second part of our pendant because we won't need it for how I envision this necklace. We are going to make an asymmetrical necklace today. So let me... we go. We can keep our jump ring off to the side. I don't know if we'll need it yet. So the pendant will face this way. You could face it this way and it made it a little bit easier to attach it to your chain at the top, but we're going to keep it like this. And I have these two really sparkly, super blingy strands, and those are going to rest underneath the pendant, and we're going to connect them on this side. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to string them, although you could. They would be very beautiful strung. Actually, it would probably make our necklace a lot easier if we strung them. So there are two options when we are going to connect our strands to our pendant. Are we going to connect them via stringing, or are we going to hand link them into chain? I used to do only hand linking when I made my jewelry when I used to sell it, and it would give it more of a vintage vibe if you wanted to hand link it. But I think we're going to try stranding today. What we'll end up with is one strand will needs to be shorter than the other, probably by half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, and I want the one with mostly crystals to be on the inside. The white with the pearls brings your eye towards the bottom of the necklace and makes it a little bit more grounded, plus they're a little bit chunkier. So I was actually going to hand link these today, but we have some of that going on in the chain reaction that we'll be using, so I think we're going to string them. Surprise, surprise. Let me get some stringing material. Okay, so I have some crimp beads. I'm going to string this strand just as it is because they did a great job of designing that strand. The next strand we might need to do a little bit differently because it'll need to be shorter, but I think I'm just going to keep it as is for this one. I'm also going to keep on the spacer because that'll be in the back. That'll be right behind our pendant. I'm actually going to keep this spacer off to the side because we'll use it behind the pendant for the second strand. We don't need it for the first strand. So we'll start with our crystal ball there. And I'm just going to string everything in the order that it's on the strand. Okay, so I'm holding this end in place with a bead clamp or beading clamp or whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to take this end and I'm just going to cut some extra length so we can make sure we have enough on the other side when we crimp. And I am going to crimp right on to our pendant here. Actually, we need to put our crimp bead on first, then our pendant, we'll come back down through our crimp bead, and then I'm just going to grab my crimpers. You can flat crimp this, but since this is going to be a really special piece, you probably want to folded crimp this, and I'm going to use a crimp cover as well. So make sure your wires are not crossed, and we'll bring that down. And you want it to be in the largest part of your largest valley of your crimp tool. Bring that down. Bring that down. And then we'll crimp right between the two. We'll turn that 90 degrees. Move up the next notch. Squish. We'll squish in the next one. Squish in the next one. And then squish at the top. And I have some Bead Crimp Covers. So there are 4 different ones in here, and I think well, let's just go with the shiniest one. It's one of these 2. I think the Stardust one's gonna look really nice with this blingy necklace, right? So I just hold it within the jaws of my crimping pliers. Put it over my crimp and lightly crush. And you might want to do it in stages so you don't get, so it looks more round than a Pac-Man, I should say. But there we go. Okay, I had to finagle it a little bit, but we got it to look pretty good. And then I'm just going to move up these beads. You can trim this off. It's not going to help you be any more sturdy. Like the necklace won't be any more sturdy because that's on there. I just keep it in case I mess up the necklace later on. It's easier for me to crack off the crimp and have some tail left instead of restringing everything. So I'll just put it down through a few beads. There's no rhyme or reason how many I choose. Okay, so we're going to move over to the next side, and I have a quick link from Beadalon, and mine is well, it's solid on one side, but I'm choosing the like diamond cut edge, and I am going to crimp onto the other side. So we'll just do the exact same thing we just did. Don't worry about this tail, I'll fix it in a minute. But we want to make sure that our necklace is curled and not a straight line. I call that loosey-goosey because if you do it in a straight line, it's just going to look weird and it's not going to lay right and you'll be upset. So we don't want anybody to be upset, right? So I'm going to grab a crimp bead. Put that on my wire. My quick link. Come back through. We're going to come down through a couple of these beads to get some leverage while we crimp. That's good enough. Okay, and then we're just going to crimp like we did on the other side of the necklace. Make sure your wires aren't crossed. Leave a little room since that crimp bead cover is a little bit larger than we're used to, or at least than I'm used to. Just going to fold it. Turn it 90 degrees. Fold it again, and just keep folding until it's a little bit flatter. And then I'll find another one of these, and I'll get another one out for the other side and the next strand. Slip it over, close it up, and then we'll trim our wires. Okay, we have our first strand on the necklace, and it doesn't really look like much, but we're going to spiff this side up. Don't you worry. This side will be just as beautiful as this side. So now we're going to do our second strand. So I'm going to do it a little bit different than we did our first side, in that I'm going to crimp it on to our pendant before I start stranding any of the beads this time. So cut a length of wire that you're comfortable working with. I always cut way too much because I'm very scared that I'll have to redo something, which has been the case more than once. So we have a couple options here. You can absolutely go ahead and crimp right onto this part right here. I'm going to try this first loop in the back, and if I don't like how it looks, I'll switch down to the bottom. That's the cool thing. If we don't like something, take it apart. You walk away from it if you need to. I've done that. And then come back like 3 years later. Oh, I forgot about this. But, you know, usually if you're making wedding jewelry, you have a timeline. But that's why you don't want to do something at the last minute either. So you have time to ruminate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to flat crimp the back of this because nobody's going to see that. There's no reason to make it all fancy when nobody is going to see it. So I'm just going to flat crimp. Here we go. That'll hold it in place. And oh, I say that nobody will see it, but then all of a sudden you can see it. So let's see, can we salvage that with a crimp cover? If not, no worries, we'll crack it off. Oh, yep, we can salvage it. Perfectly fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with, we have our strand, but this one also is going to give us some length in the back, so we're not using our really, really pretty beads before we can see them 100%. So I'm just going to put this on to the back. So as it comes down, and to the side, we're just going to see the 2 silver beads back there. I'm going to put the one from this strand on as well. So I'm going to cut this, and then we'll decide. We're going to have to figure out how long to make this strand. I love, love, love the way that they've strung both of these strands, so I don't want to change up the order too much. So we'll put on our silver bead. And actually, let's see. So we have like a metal spacer with rhinestones, then 2 crystal rondelles and a crystal rondelle spacer. Then we have crystal pave bead, a coin, and then it kind of just starts again. So we can just keep going with that pattern and then leave off some beads if we need to. So I'm going to go ahead and bead my wire until I get enough length to be a little bit shorter than this one. Okay, so I just kept off this segment of that strand. We can save that for later on. And here we go. I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to crimp onto the other side, and I used way too much wire, so I'll just save the excess wire and make a bracelet later on. I'm going to find a crimp bead. And then we're just going to crimp right onto our loop. Yes, I used way too much wire, but better safe than sorry. And then I am going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to come down through a couple of these beads just to make sure that in case I make in case I make a mistake, I'll have enough wire to redo it instead of restringing the entire project. Okay, we're keeping it loosey-goosey. We're not trying to tighten that way too much. Making sure that there aren't any noticeable huge gaps though. You always want to make sure it's balanced. Not too tight, not too loose. And then we'll go ahead and do our same thing. If you're more comfortable with flat crimping, as long as you have a crimp cover, I think it'd be okay. This is not a necklace that you'll be wearing a lot, especially if it's, you know, part of a bridal party. So I wouldn't worry about the wear and tear. Okay, so we'll do that. And then turn it 90 degrees, move it up, get that ring out of the way, crunch a little bit, move it to the next one, keep going. Okay, and then we'll put on our crimp cover. Crimp covers also, like if you did have way too much room, put another crimp cover on because it'll just look like a bead and it'll take up some of that slack. Okay, and I am going to trim my wires. Make sure you only trim the one that's not the main wire. I have done that and on camera. All right, and we'll trim this one. So our necklace is more than half done, and it's looking pretty stunning to me. I love, love, love it, and it's bringing me. It's very nostalgic looking at this necklace because I used to make necklaces that looked like this all the time. Okay, so I have some Jessie James Beads Chain Reaction. They have them in so many different colors. I just chose a clear color. I don't need that big jump ring in the back. I'm just gonna snip it to get rid of it. Oh, that might not be. It seemed a little bit more tough than regular wire. Yeah, I had to use my memory wire cutters to get that one open. So, all right, so there's 18 inches here. Normally bridal jewelry is going to drape around your neck, like right at the collarbone. So depending on what kind of dress or shirt or top that you're using, you'll want to gauge where these pieces should lay. I would say put them on the collarbones. Okay, so that would make, we'd probably want the inner piece to be, the inner length to be anywhere from 18 to 20 inches or even 16 to 18 inches. So I'm going to measure this. I'm sorry for my dirty ruler. It's been through a lot of years of crafting. So by measuring it, I am actually going to measure from where I'm going to attach my chain, which will be this first ring, to the end of this ring. So that's 8 inches. I need 10 inches of chain. Okay, because I'm going to make this one 18 inches. But if, by all means, if you needed a more petite necklace, absolutely make it shorter. So I'm just going to cut 10 inches of chain. Actually, I'm going to cut 9 3/4 inch chain because that actually works with my pattern of the beads, and I need an extra jump ring or 2 to fit in there. So we're going to cut this guy right here. This is 18 inches of chain too. So that'll be around the back of our necklace. Now, actually, we could probably use this guy. I want to see if I can find, it's going to be a little too small. Okay, so what we'll do is, I have some beading wire. It's 20 gauge. Stick it through there. You can use thinner wire too if it works better for you. Oh, let's do that a little bit longer. We just need something to hook that chain onto. We don't need something really intricate. I'm going to snip this, and you want to make sure you snip it to where it's not going to cut you or scratch you. If you have a big jump ring, that would be ideal. Okay. And I'm going to point it down because it's going to fit in these grooves between these other loops here, so it's not bothering us. Yep, that's perfect. So what I'll do here is grab this jump ring from earlier, just a teeny tiny one, hook it onto our chain, and you can absolutely do 2 strands of chain. If it looks a little bit better to you, do 2 strands of chain because we have 2 strands of beads. I'm going to check 1 strand, and if I don't like it, we can use the rest, even if it's just up the one side to make it a little bit heavier. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, hook our jump ring on. Might need a little bit smaller pliers to get in there. Or we can try and close it that way. Oh. Sorry, I'm using some really old grooved pliers. Toothed? You know what, I'm going to use a bigger jump ring. That one's just a little too small. Can't really get my pliers in there. There we go. There we go. Much easier. Much easier that way. Okay, so now we have our chain coming out the top. And this twisted a little bit, so can get that back. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And then we take our chain and we'll attach it to the other side. Another thing you can use to cut this chain in half perfectly, find a head pin, eye pin, piece of stray wire, put one loop of your chain and on each end, and then on each end like that, and then drape it so you can find the middle. And the middle is this crystal, but I'm going to actually keep the crystal on there. So I'm going to cut there. There we go. Take your wire out. So my crystal, I'm going to point down at my connection point. Now I need I need one jump ring here actually. So grab a jump ring, and I think we'll go with this medium size. So there are like 3 sizes in here. I think I'll go with that size. Now I have a choice. I have 2 drops. I can use this drop in here. I think this one's a little larger, and I think it'll look a little bit more dramatic if we use this drop. So I'm going to open up my jump ring. Actually, we're going to need a second jump ring. So this one, I'm going to get a smaller one. Here's our smaller one. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and loop that in there. Okay, then I'm gonna grab my bigger jump ring. Actually, I think we're gonna do 2 smaller jump rings because adding that second jump ring in made it easier for us to use a smaller one. Go. I'm going to grab my pendant and hook it in there, and then I'm gonna hook my chain on. We're gonna put a clasp on this necklace, and I'm going to call it finished. I love, that's gonna look so pretty swinging in there. Do I have a clasp in here? I do. And we'll grab a larger jump ring for the ending. So I always put my clasps on the right hand side because I'm right-handed. So if you use the left hand side, if you're left-handed, but this will just be the ring that closes the necklace. And you could put a drop on the back. You could put an extender on the back with a drop. It's the finishing touch, especially if you're wearing your hair up. That would be gorgeous. Okay. And let me get some of this stuff out of the way. Here is our necklace, and I will show you, we're going to make one other thing, but I will show you what this looks like, better pictures in a moment. But isn't that gorgeous? Oh, it's so unique, and nobody's going to have a necklace that looks like that. Nobody you know is going to be wearing this jewelry, and it's perfect for prom, perfect for a wedding. If you're just a really glitzy person, I mean, I would wear this to work. Honestly, I'm not even kidding you. Pre-COVID and when I was working in the office, I would absolutely wear this to work. So I'll show you some glamour shots of that in just a moment. We're gonna make a really quick pair of earrings because Jessie James Beads made it super easy to make a pretty pair of earrings to match this with this set. So we have some pearls. These are some of my favorite blingy beads I've ever seen from Jessie James Beads. I think those are so yummy. Let's scooch in a little bit since we don't need the whole field of view now for a necklace. These are really cute. You could just add those for a little sparkle, get a glass pearl on the top. But let's make some statement earrings, okay? We're gonna make, well, I think these two together would be really pretty. But look at these guys. They're beaded beads, meaning they're woven into a bead, several little beads. It's not they're not like pearl cabochons. So let's see. No, that's too tiny. Oh. Nope. Oh, I like that. Those three together. And we'll just get an eye pin. We'll see if I can squish this eye pin through this bead because there's teeny tiny spaces for bead weaving or using beading wire. I don't know if we'll be able to get a head pin through. I want to make sure it goes out exactly the other side too. Here we go. Perfect, and that kind of hides it a little bit too. So I'll put that one through. There, that was easy enough. Put that through, and I think I'm just gonna set this guy right on top. Make him super blingy. It's so shiny. Too bad I don't wear earrings. Makes me so happy looking at this. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a simple loop. I'm not going to wire wrap, but I am going to make a little bit of a larger loop because the top of this bead is so large. So I'm going to come all the way to the end of my round nose pliers and make that loop as big as possible. Plus, the tighter you make that loop, the more the beads won't wiggle. So we have, oh, it looks like a little BB-8, but that's cute. And we'll go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other one. I am super jazzed about that necklace. It's so gorgeous, and it gives me all the good vintage vibes and nostalgia from running my own business on Etsy for so long. So, okay, this would be a gorgeous earring just by itself, but we're gonna get a couple tiny jump rings. Actually, we don't need jump rings. We have head pins or eye pins here. I always say head pin when I mean eye pin. We'll slip that guy on. And the bead's a little bit in the way because he's so junky, but in a good way. Here we go. Slide that closed. And we'll do this one. And we'll get an earring wire. These beads are so gorgeous. And there we go. So we have a one-of-a-kind, vintage-inspired, bling, bling, bling pair of earrings to match our gorgeous, gorgeous necklace. I'll come back with some beautiful pictures. Okay, so here is our beautiful necklace. I'll zoom in just a minute, but then here are cute, cute, cute little earrings. They're so lightweight too. So lightweight, they're so pretty. And I love, okay, so these are reminiscent of the necklace because of the teardrop, but we also have the pearls in there too. We've got our beautiful chain reaction and just all this sparkle. All this sparkle, it's so pretty. So let me scooch in. There you go. I had so much fun making this necklace with you. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'm Turquoise Street on YouTube. I would love to see you over there. And I also run Brittany's Beads group on Facebook. Thanks so much to Jessie James Beads, as always, for having me on today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.